Hello, fabulous listeners. Thanks for tuning in to Old Bodies Outside. This is your host, Brian Peterson. This episode's guest is Dr. Blied, who is a clinical psychologist, neuroscience practitioner, and the creator of the Faces of Health app. The app was founded on the belief that there is no one-size-fits-all solution for mental health care. Therefore, the Faces of Health app features a robust selection of easy-to-learn strategies to improve longevity and quality of life. The app offers a variety of tools for stress management and mental health skills training, along with neuroscience information so that individuals can learn about their brain and biology and why the skills work. As part of my preparations for this recording, I downloaded the Faces of Health app, and I was amazed at all it had to offer to benefit my wellness. And I'm a firm believer that everyone should make wellness a part of their everyday routine. And a great way to ensure this with consistency is to use the Faces of Health app. For more information about the app, go to www.facesofhealth.net. Dr. Blied, it's an honor to have you on Old Bodies Outside.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peterson. Is Dr. Peterson okay? I want to
It
give you
is.
your props.
Yeah, no, I go by Dr. Peterson a lot. And it's,
Thank you.
do you ever get tricked by it? So I have, at home with family and whatnot, they're calling me all kinds of names and stuff. And then I'll get in front of the classroom and suddenly I'm hearing Dr. Peterson. I'm like, who is that? Who is that?
Right? Me, especially, I'm actually a first generation college graduate. And so to graduate from college and then go all the way to a PhD, it's something that I'm super proud of. And so I'm like, yeah, call me doctor. And so my daughter, my 4-year-old, is like, Dr. Blied. I'm like, no, you can call me Monica. No, you can't call me Monica. You can call me mommy.
That's right. I had a friend, he was also a first generation college graduate, undergrad, master's, and PhD. And so he did his PhD. He's social psychology and did it on sense of belonging for first generation college students. And it was a fascinating study. And I thought that was one that was really close to his heart too. So that was cool for him to do.
Yeah, it's such an important topic.
It is. Well, congrats to you and, leading the way for your kids too and setting such a great example.
Thank you. And, you kind of super hyped me up with the Faces of Health app. And, that was kind of part of this legacy building, right? I went into psychology because I wanted to kind of be a face in my community that says, yes, you can love God and get professional support when you are grieving or when you kind of have problems that need to go outside the family to get some support around. And so with the app, it's like, hey, you actually don't even have to leave your house. You can, download and open up this app and learn skills to just to relax, to manage anxiety, to learn the tools to break through some of the sadness and depression that you have, in addition to professional support. But what can you do in the meantime and in between time, in between professional therapy sessions? So I'm really grateful to have been given the the idea and the gift to share this with the world.
It really is a gift for the world. It really is a gift. And I think that making something accessible like you did that's such a gift right there. Just that component.
Thank you.
Well, let's hear some more about the app here. And I wanted to, first off, before we kind of dive into some specifics about it, why don't you give us kind of an overview of what the primary features are of the Faces of Health app?
Yeah, so, it was kind of birthed out of my, professional plus personal experiences, my professional experiences as a clinical psychologist who spent all of graduate school studying neuropsychology. So, studying the brain and how the brain and the body work together and the mind body health connection, the brain gut health connection, the gut as the second brain and your heart as the third brain because there are actually brain cells, neurons in each of those. And so that was kind of the professional experience, right? And so I'm like, this is cool. I want everyone to know. And then the personal experience was the second year of my PhD program being diagnosed with lupus. So, lupus is an autoimmune disease where my body's immune system sees like my own body as something to attack. Like our immune system naturally attacks like flus and colds, but it'll attack my own tissues and organs and, different functions. And so that results in chronic pain for me, and also chronic fatigue. And then, in the chronic illness community, we call ourselves spoonies because we only have so many spoons or like energy that, that reserves that we can give out each day. But in the chronic illness community, we know that we can't just have like one chronic illness, right? And so later on, it was also fibromyalgia and chronic migraines, and all of these conditions produce physical pain, and all of them are exacerbated and sometimes turned on, flared up by stress. So I had to apply my education to myself to learn how can I better manage stress? Because every human, if you are awake and breathing, sometimes even when you're sleeping, we have stress, whether it be minor stresses or major stresses. We have things that impact us on a daily basis. And so, how can I have tools that can help me to lower my stress, manage my stress and anxiety so that I can better control lupus and lupus flare ups and the experience of chronic pain and fatigue on a daily basis? And so I figured that out, and of course, there are apps out there that teach you like stress tools, like, take a deep breath and meditate. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's all great. And none of those people look like me, and then also, like, what else? And so in this app, there are a few different, like, unique features. One, I have expert contributors from women of color, sexperts. So, sex therapists, from women of color, psychiatrists, trauma therapists, substance use treatment psychologists. And so that feature is so unique and something that I was so intentional about. Like, hey, let's have an app where there are folks of the global majority that look like, that could look like you, but then also like, what else can you do to be able to feel better and live more fully in addition to just breathing? So I have plenty of breathing exercises on there because that is helpful. It's like 18 videos on there, and each of them is like, it's quick, like 2 to 5 minute videos. But then also, let's learn about the mind body health connection. Part of that is somatic exercises, somatic therapy. Let's learn about what you would learn in therapy, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and how what you think is going to impact how you feel and how pain shows up, how that pain signal in your spinal cord, that gate channel opens or closes. So let's learn about that and practice that. But then also tapping skills. So EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, and then what a lot of people are really familiar with from, pop culture and Prince Harry, EMDR, a type bilateral tapping. And so all in one place, you get exposure and practice to these skills. But then also, and you can hear my little 4-year-old knocking on the door, like, let me in, mom.
Wants to be a part of the
But
recording.
also, right? But also, like, why? why this works, why it works. And that part was really important to me. Like, okay, this is what you're doing, and this is actually what's happening in your nervous system. This is what's happening with your parasympathetic nervous system, part of the autonomic. This is what's happening in your brain and your body, right? Because I was always a kid that grew up and wanted to know why. Okay, you want me to, like, clean up the house, every Saturday or whatever, we had Saturday chores. Like, why? Like, oh, because we want a clean house. Okay. Why? Like, I don't need a clean house. Why? Because we don't want roaches. Got it.
Yes.
I can get on
Yes.
board with that. And so, like, just kind of my personality makeup and kind of projecting that onto others. A lot of people want to know, like, why? Why does breathing work? Why does
Yeah.
aromatherapy, how is that effective in actually calming down our brain and our bodies? And so that education is provided in addition to let's practice and learn those skills.
Yeah. Gosh, Dr. Blied, I love how much that aligns with all bodies outside, inclusive of everyone. I love that you have women of color on there being extra expert contributors. And I love the validation, like I'm the same way. Like if I get the explanation and the education of why this works, that's a
Mhm.
mental validation for me. And I'm like, okay, that skill, that technique, that strategy, I'm going to use it because it has been proven to work.
Yes, yes. And so you don't need to use, Google, which can sometimes steer you the wrong way depending on the website, like to find out, like, well, what is this technique? Like, what is somatic therapy? What is chair yoga? Because that's on there too. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do chat GPT, although those things can be useful. It's all like right here within 2 to 5 minute videos.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And one thing that I mentioned in the introduction was that it's founded on the belief that not one size fits all is out there.
Yes.
Everyone's got their unique journey with wellness, and it sounds like the app is just so well designed to meet that criteria.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell me more.
All right, well let's hear another part of that. And something that you didn't mention that I saw in the app was the community feature.
Ah, yes, 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 yes. So no one wants to feel alone in their wellness journey, or their chronic illness journey, whether it be chronic medical illness, chronic mental illness. And so there's like a little like social network that is integrated within the app where you can post videos or like just comment and like and share. And it's just, a wonderful thing that, I've had a little over 2,100 users so far. And I'm like, use it more, guys. And so hopefully, with individuals watching this podcast, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to post to the community feature. Like, I'm not going to be on threads anymore or on, Snapchat or, all those other things. Like, I'm going to do the Faces of Health community feature.
Well, I was
Yeah.
impressed. I was impressed. I went to the community feature, and it is active, and it's very regularly active. People are posting on there. People are sharing, and the power of community is so important, especially when you're going through a journey, knowing that other people are going through a similar journey. You're not alone. You're not isolated in the world. Oh, that makes me feel so good.
Me too. Yeah, it's near and dear to my heart because there's actually research that shows as far as one thing that is super effective in helping people to recover from illness, whether it be something acute like a surgery or something long term like, a form of dementia, helping people to their disease to progress slower. So they have longer time of a more, you know, um, vibrant quality of life. The one thing that like contributes to that is positive social bonds. So not just any social bonds. You don't want people around you gossiping and talking about you and telling you, oh, doom and gloom or whatever. But it's like positive, adaptive social bonds. And sometimes we just don't have that within our immediate circle. And so, if you can experience that within the community feature or wherever you can find it, it's going to help with that whole health wellness journey.
And it's amazing that what the we live in 2023 and we're able to access online communities because we may not have people near us in which we have positive social
Yeah.
bonds, and we all have the power for the most part to decide what social bonds we
Mm,
want to have and what not.
mhm.
And that plays a big part on our health. And so those positive
Yes.
social bonds are a big part of health. And, if you can't find it in person and maybe in a proximal area spatially around you, it's so wonderful that we can turn to online communities and we're able to do that in 2023. And we have the ease to do that, such as with your app.
Thank you. Yeah, within Faces of Health. And like you said before, Dr. Peterson, knowing that you are not alone,
Yeah.
knowing that there are other people like you that are struggling, but then that are also like victorious, that are also flourishing, even in the midst of chronic mental health or medical health conditions, or, just with regular life. Like, you're not alone. And like, somebody got you. Somebody's praying for you. Somebody's thinking of you, sending positive vibes for you. That is like so precious.
Well, and as you were just saying that, I know you weren't talking to me directly, we're talking broadly here, but I just felt like a sense of my hope like increase.
Oh, I love that. And I wish that I could get like a tech person to like add in coding to help survey people, like how much hope has your increase, like
Right.
based on how frequently you're using it. Oh, you're using it 3 times a day? Like, oh, my hope, increased, exponentially, tenfold in 1 week. Oh, you're using it once a week. It took 10 weeks. Like let's just get that data, because I'm a researcher
Ah,
scientist too, and like you are, Dr. Peterson, and I would love to get that data one day.
yeah, that is you. Yeah, there's probably some good data that could be collected from that. I don't know if that's a feature that's for the future or not, but let's hear about how. So, as I said, I
Mhm.
downloaded the app this morning as I prepared for our recording, and the app, I was just amazed at all it had to offer. You've gone over all of it. So a new user is using the app. What should they downloaded it and they're like, my gosh, there's so much to explore. What would be the recommended first steps?
Yeah, yeah. There's actually a video on where to start and how to use this app. And so I'd say like start there. But then say if you are a baby to like mental health skills training, I'd say start with the CBT features, cognitive behavioral therapy, because it's going to give you the foundation of, hey, and most of it is educational, like, and then followed by grounding skills or a meditation or something like that. But it'll give you the foundation of, this is an understanding of mental health care in general, like how I can care for myself and be more conscious about the thoughts that I'm allowing to float around versus the ones that kind of get there, but then I don't allow it to live rent free in my mind, right? And then it'll also kind of steer you towards the next steps, which would be some of the body based practices. And so I recommend doing a tapping skill, or part of the like chair yoga or the somatic therapy skills. Like, I definitely recommend that, because oftentimes we aren't, especially if we're new to mental health skills, we aren't super in tune with our body to be able to just breathe and focus on a breath. And that's why I say breathing doesn't work for everybody, especially if you do have, a lot of anxiety and panic. You may try to breathe and then hyperventilate. Okay. So let's start with your body, and let's start with you learning more and getting in tune and in touch, increasing awareness about what's going on in my body, whether that be an experience of physical pain or muscle tension in different parts, and then learn how to release that.
Hmm. That sounds very calming. And so
Mm.
this is the first time I've heard about tapping. Well, I heard about it when we first met pre-recording, but this
Yeah.
is the first time I've heard about tapping. So for listeners that are like
Yeah.
me out there, maybe I'm just learning a lot here, and maybe
Yeah.
I'm in my infancy of understanding stress management and some of these
Mhm.
skills. So what is tapping? And I know that there's probably that's something that's used. I think you mentioned in our pre-recording, Prince Harry does
Prince
it, or
Harry,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, and Rihanna. And so, it's become more like pop culture now that celebrities are talking about as Selena Gomez. There's a lot of these specific stress management skills. So there are a couple different popular forms of tapping. One is bilateral tapping. Bilateral means one side of the body than the other. And that's usually used in like EMDR therapy, which is a trauma treatment. And so what that is basically, and users who aren't watching on video, what I'm doing is I'm crossing my arms and putting one hand on each of my shoulders. And then I'm just going to slowly tap on one shoulder, then the other. So I'm tapping on one side of my body, then the other. And this can also be done just tapping your feet. Tap one foot and then the other. And when we're doing this slowly, what we're doing is integrating the main three parts of our brain. And so, for those not watching but listening, I have a fist up with my thumb inside of my fist. And the outer layer of my fist is, if you think about the neocortex or like our thinking brain, this is where we have our emotion regulation. This is where our rational thinking and our problem solving happens. Open up that fist to where my thumb is, and that's our limbic system. That's our emotion mind. That's our fight, flight, fear, freeze, all those things, fawn. And then down where my wrist is, that's our body based mind. That's where our cerebellum and our brainstem are. So that's all of our automatic functions. That is alertness, that is, breathing, respiration, that is our heart rate, muscle tension, those sorts of things. And often when we're under stress, this limbic system, our emotion mind, is taken all control, and so has our body mind. So we're having like, our heart is racing and we're sweating, and we're just thinking about how can I get out of here or whatever, just leaving the danger, exiting the stress. And what we want to do is close the lid. You pop your lid. You want to close the lid to be able to also think about what else could be true in this situation. What am I not considering? And rationalize in a way that works for you and for the situation, integrating the different parts of our brain. And we can do that when we're doing this bilateral tapping. Just something so simple. Tap one side of your body, then the other. It's amazing. And another type of tapping is called emotional freedom technique, or EFT tapping. And that's when you take the two fingers on each hand, and you can just do it with one hand if you want to, but you're going to tap on specific parts of your the top of your head and on your face and your collarbone. And what that does is it taps into the meridian energy centers in our brain. And so those energy centers, when we're tapping into that, it also activates our body's relaxation system, or what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, to help us calm down, think through a situation, manage the stress. Our body is more at ease, so we can rest and digest. And I love it because a lot of times I use this, you say it with an affirmation or say it with something that you want to be true, right? Like, all things will work together for my good. I can make it through this situation, top of the eyebrow, right underneath, top of the cheeks, and then top of the lip, mustache, and then at your chin, and then tapping 5 to 7 times again at your collarbone, tapping in so that your brain believes what you're actually saying. Because oftentimes with my clients, they may think like, okay, I've made it through hard times before, I can get through this too. But then their heart is like, yeah, I don't know, sis, this might, take us down. And so it's something that will help to connect head and heart. So you actually start to believe what you say, and you're not just saying it for hope, but that hope becomes real, tangible, and something that you can actually go out and act on.
Wow. Wow. Well, I love that you just were able to give, a tapping exercise, tapping skill, um,
Mhm,
for all the listeners to use and use whenever they need to. I was imagining myself actually doing some tapping as I was laying in bed and trying to calm my mind down. I have the habit of
yes.
thinking about tomorrow and all the things I have to do, which then that starts causing
Mhm,
anxiety. And then I'm staying
mhm,
awake and I'm not sleeping. And so I was
mhm.
actually imagining myself doing that exercise tonight as I was lying horizontally.
Yes, I recommend that. And you can, like I said, even do it with one hand. And also watch the video on how to get rid of stinking thinking. And we
Okay.
talk about the 3 R's. We talk about
Yeah. Yeah.
those videos, so we won't have time to review it in the podcast today. But there are just so many gems. So, again, if you are new to mental health, or if you've been in therapy for 15 years and you know a lot, but you want to learn new skills or just refresh on your practice, I definitely recommend you get in there, try out a few videos, and share it with a friend.
Oh. Well, Dr. Blythe, thank you so much for coming on to Old Bodies Outside. For those listening out there, give Faces of Health a chance. Give it a shot. It is wonderful. It's easy to use. You're going to have all kinds of fun features. There's community, as we mentioned. Check it out. It's a wonderful, wonderful app with a lot of scientific backing behind it. It's all scientifically backed. So be sure to check it out, download it, give it a test, and it'll see how it benefits your wellness. Okay, Dr. Blied, we're going to wrap up the episode. And I just want to say thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to editing this and producing it.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Peterson. I'm so honored. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. You're welcome. And I'm going to press the stop recording button.